Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about some new dates for Legion, and this is kind of in my recent series of spoilery stuff that they probably didn't want us to know, but it's all out there, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about some dates for like all the upcoming stuff for Legion. It's all got kind of leaked on the Lion Rampant distributor site. And now I also want to preface this with all of these dates are tentative because how often do street dates actually meet their anticipated goal? Not all that commonly, right? So don't take this too crazily seriously, but this is probably a good indication of at least where they're trying to get to. Also, before we jump into the actual dates for everything that we have so far, a little admin stuff. If you guys aren't already aware, we've got a lot of new merch down in the description below. If you want to check out some of the scrolling little pictures and stuff, the fancy little merch that's down there, that does help support the channel. Shirts like this, definitely the new masks and gator necks. If you want to click on the link and go check out the actual storefront, we've actually got regular proper face masks and all kinds of good stuff that'll help support the channel. Also, Patreon is there as well. All right. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about the dates. So, basically from Lion Rampant, we got Padme and Cad Bane, which are shipping now, and I've actually grabbed this a couple days ago, but I wanted to kind of wait and see, if they changed or not. And they've kind of held steady, so this is pretty good. Of July 17th is when these are looking at least this is for North America. Now, these have already come out in, I believe, Europe, so, a lot of people have these already. So, Padme and Cad Bane might not be that big of a surprise to a lot of people when they actually show up. But yeah, like I've already got my pre-ordered, pre-production notice and everything like that from Asmodee. So these are preparing to ship right now. And as of right now, at least, it looks like that 17 July street date is looking fairly good. So, if that's any indication of, and of course that does fall on a Friday as well. So, Friday's usually when street dates try to be. If we come up a little bit more to some things like Clan Ren and Inferno Squad, which I'm very excited about, those are currently set up for the 11th of September, and yeah, I think that's our only September release. Now these are a little bit farther away. We do have, I know we skipped because we do have August, but August is currently reserved for the end of August for the ARC Troopers and the BX series droids. And then we also have, after that, we have the Republic ATRT and Stap Riders for September 11th as well. So September is going to be a big month because we're going to have 4 expansions currently coming out in September, with being the Staps, the ATRTs, and Clan Ren, and Inferno Squad. So every faction is going to get something in September. And then it just looks like, the BXs and the ARCs for August. So, like, if we look at these kind of dates, now I'm not really sure why they put these dates on there. This is coming from Lion Rampant. They're the Canadian distributor. They've been apparently lately posting a lot of stuff that they shouldn't have, and of course this is not a super, like, this isn't like an official announcement from FFG, but this particular distributor is under Asmodee. They're owned by Asmodee, so it's kind of like Asmodee's putting this stuff out, and it's been out for a while now, so it hasn't been taken down yet. So I feel like it's fair game to talk about it. But yeah, but there's pretty cool stuff. Most of the new stuff we're getting really is Clone Wars, and it's really to help kind of get everybody else caught up, which is very interesting. And then jumping forward a little bit more, I've talked about Anakin and Darth Maul. They are likely what we're going to see get announced at Gen Con. We've got number 74 and 76 here for Anakin, and then Darth Maul with the probe droid. Those are currently dated as November 20th, which is actually not that far in advance. If you figure, Gen Con is at the beginning of August, September, October, November, you're looking at, 3 months from when they announce to when it's supposed to be a street date. That's a pretty short time frame, and that's pretty cool. So I would love it if this were true, which it certainly may be. Everything else seems to be in order, but I would love it if this sort of thing held to be the new standard, like announced, the window from announcement to street date. They've been saying for a long time that they wanted to shrink that, and of course we really haven't been able to see if that is truly going to shrink because of COVID and all of that other stuff going on. Well, there were already some delays on top of COVID, and it's just made things a lot harder. So hopefully this is a sign that things, at least in the shipping route, may start to be getting back to normal. But I guess we're gonna have to see, because like I said, dates, even as early out as November, are still pretty far in advance, and there's always a chance of them slipping to the right. Now, there's a couple of more things we can probably expand upon at this point in the video, because we do also have Anakin Skywalker and Darth Maul here, 74 and 76. There's an absence of 75 there, and also these were kind of leaked well after all this other stuff that we've got here. So it does seem like this is part of a new wave. And if so, what else is going to show up with this wave? That's a really interesting question. I mean, maybe it's a subject for a whole nother video, but I want to touch on it a little bit here, because there's a couple of things that immediately come to mind. And I've talked about this a little bit before, is that more lightsaber wielders, more Force users might be appropriate. If we're getting Anakin and Maul, maybe it's time to get some more Force users for the other factions as well, because now with Maul, like we could have, Grievous, Dooku, and Maul. All, granted, it would use up a lot of points, but that could be really, really fun, right? For Separatists, and if we're doing that, we've got 3 Force users now in the Separatists. What about Darth Vader's still the only one, right? For the Empire, and Luke Skywalker, the only Force using lightsaber wielder. I mean, you do have Sabine with a dark saber, so technically you've got a second one over there, but I think it's time for the Rebels and the Empire to get some more lightsaber wielding characters. So I would love for, in this wave, to also have the inclusion of some characters that are either Force users and or lightsaber wielding characters. So like Inquisitors, or video game characters like Cal Kestis rather, or Kanan and Ezra, some Star Wars Rebels, or a grown-up adult Ahsoka. All of these things would be excellent candidates to show up during this particular timeline, during this wave, and it would be really, really exciting. So I'm kind of curious to see how that goes. I think actually this would be a really good time for them to give us Ahsoka, but I feel like part of me wants to see Clone Wars Ahsoka first before we see Star Wars Rebels era Ahsoka. And kind of but again, let me know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with that. Like what would be your Ahsoka preferences on how and when we would see her show up. So that would be a pretty fun one to see here. But also, this does beg the question of, boy, when are we getting the specialists for these factions? Hopefully that will also come in this wave, because that's one thing I think the Separatists and the Republic desperately need is the specialists. The Separatists don't have a cheap commander, so just having the basic commander there would be incredibly important. I don't know if the specialists packs for these new factions will mirror the original 2 specialists pack, and if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about when I say specialists, I'm talking about the packs that were 4 minis. It was a leader who could be a leader to go in a core unit, or a leader that could be a generic commander. It was a medic, it was a repair bot, and then that comm technician. So so basically, 4 different personnel upgrades that could go in any unit that could take personnel, so they help all of your core options, and that would be really great. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that sooner rather than later. Now, we have asked about that before. They did say that something like that would be coming. They did say that we were going to be getting those. I'm curious how the droids are going to get something like that, though, because a medic for the droids isn't necessarily going to be as good as maybe a repair bot for the droids. However, historically, the medic for the other factions have been way more expensive than the repair bot for the other factions. So it could just be completely crisscrossed. And a medic for the droids would be really just useful for healing your commanders. So that's certainly an option. That'd be kind of cool. And but then again, it does also think, well, what happens if Separatists do get organic core units like Night Sisters or Geonosians or things like that? It's like... so it becomes a very difficult type of balance. They may actually be restricted to droid trooper only units if it's going to be a cheap medic. That may be a thing. I guess I could probably spend a whole episode just speculating on how the Separatist pack will be a little bit different. But the other big thing is a generic commander. The reason why I think this is so important right now is, like, look how many expensive, heroes the Separatists are getting. They still have no generic commander. At least with the Republic, you've got Rex, who is, while not cheap, also not obscenely expensive. He's kind of in that midpoint range, so at least you have something to work with there. But I think the Republic really needs a generic commander option as well, especially if it's a clone, because that would also help out and work really, really well. Although, to be honest, there's a big part of me that says I would still take Rex. So the Republic, I don't feel like they need it nearly as much as the Separatists do. But I mean, a Separatists might be that might be their thing, is maybe they just don't get a generic commander, or if they do get a generic commander, maybe he's significantly more expensive than other generic commanders have been. And so that is also very interesting. But I think, the arrival of even more heroes and more big point cost characters for something like the Separatists, is just indicative of, boy, we really, really, really need that. But that's what I think. I'd love to hear what you guys think. All right, guys. Well, those dates are all tentative, so, let me know. All right, I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons as well. You guys are absolutely amazing and definitely help make this channel possible. Again, check the merch as well, and thank you so much. And as always, have a great day.